Can someone pull up their um, Instagram? I just want to make sure this is working. One day, though, I'm gonna get this right, and it's gonna be a good thing. I just feel like this is a good conversation that a lot of people should be able to hear. Okay, I got it. It's not live. All right. Okay, y'all. I promise we gonna get this going. But so I gotta, I gotta ask you to go live, Chris.
You did.
I gotta ask you to go live because you gotta tell the people.
Oh.
Yeah, I gotta ask you to do it so that the people can learn from your story. Because when they heard me yelling and being like, Chris is doing this on the internet, we need to follow up to the story.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because you've been in my head. Every time I wanted to stop, I was like, congratulations to all those people. And she told me I could do it, so I can't, prove them wrong.
Wait.
And I really want to be on the beach in January. I really do.
That's so
and that
funny.
only happened with the finished proposal and a passport. That's the only way to happen. You gotta.
But you are going to be on the beach, though.
Right.
Okay. Hopefully this is working, or I may have to come out. We gonna figure it out. It's fine. We're going to figure it out. Why is that not working? Okay, y'all. Technology is not my friend. I feel like it's a whole like Mercury retrograde, but it's not. It's not. I'm just doing too much. I'll figure out YouTube later. Okay, a good dissertation is a done dissertation. How y'all doing? Before we get into this conversation that I'm really excited about, how are you doing? What are your numbers looking like? What is your focus, open, peace, scholar basics looking like? I'm with you, Chris. I'm feeling like fives across the board because today has been a productive day. And what can y'all see? Can y'all see my slides or can you see my entire screen? I saw you say something, but I didn't hear you, Chris.
Just slides. I see how you doing.
Okay. Okay. I think I got this now. All right. Oh, we got all fives. You must have turned in your dissertation too.
No, I did. Yes, I did. We done. I ain't got time for Bill. We are done. Ain't nobody got time for this. I am done. I don't know if you received that message about him wanting me to add the implications of policy that I tried not to add to the section. Did you? Oh,
no.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So real quick. So I met with him. He was like, I told you when the message that he said this was like the best like chapter 4 and 5 he's ever read. Like he was just like real yes.
Oh, you know what? I think your message got cut off and I thought you were coming back because all I heard was you were going to tell me what he said. And then there wasn't enough. Because, Instagram only lets you do like 60 seconds and then they cut you off.
So I know I got to read what he said. He said, Erica, he never compliments first. Erica, I must say, while there is still some work to do, this was a great first draft. I enjoyed reading it. It generally takes an iteration or two before scheduling your defense, but I think you will be able to revise this relatively quickly. Please see attached for feedback. Meet with me if anything is unclear, particularly regarding coding and tables. Now, he's one to take.
Mm-hmm.
So, so I was like, okay. Like, I cried. Y'all, I cried at the office. If got something wrong with me, I started hyperventilating. It was a whole thing because he never says anything positive. Well, he did. He has with me thus far. Like, this is like maybe the second or third compliment that he's given me. So, okay, met with him that following Monday. That was on the 18th. Met with him the following Monday. I go in his office. He's like, hey, Doc, what's up? And I was like, yeah.
You talking to me?
And he was like, hey, he was like, so let's pull up this stuff. I was like, well, I've already knocked out a couple things that you wanted me to do. He was like, yeah. So like, I know this is a qualitative study. He was like, but I feel like now mind you, we need to show, because this is his dissertation, not mine.
Exactly.
We need to show the people the correlation. I said, oh, he went there. the correlation between the findings and your theoretical framework and blah blah blah. So I just feel like we should add two more, a table, another table, and another figure.
I love this like a we.
And,
Who is we, Bill? Are you doing
and
this,
I've
Bill?
already started. Hold on, this gets better. I already started a draft of the table that I feel
Mhm.
like we should add.
He said it's our dissertation. Don't you know that, girl?
Said,
We did
okay,
this
well,
together.
this is, I was like, well, I already did what you had asked, but I showed him. He was like, yeah, yeah. So just add another column there. And he was like, and then let's go back up to this other figure and let's work that. So he tried to help me with this other figure that he wanted. And he was like, you know what? If we don't get it, we just don't get it, but we'll figure it out. It's we. We will figure it out. Then he was like, also, he was like, so I see you didn't add an implications of policy section. I said, I'm gonna be real honest with you. I said, I tried to skip over that section. I was trying to do implications for practice and be done. He was like, I said, because I didn't really think I had nothing else to say.
Yeah.
He was like, no, you really need to add critical race theory and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I want to see it from the state, from national level, state level, local level.
William. William.
We were done. I said, you know what? I'm gonna give this man what he wants. So I went back, did what he wanted, and he was like, I feel like if you could get this back to me within a week or so, I'll glaze over it and we'll, go ahead and get you scheduled and send it off, for your committee to the rest of the committee to look at, and then we get you scheduled. That's what he said. It's sent off. Sir, look at my stuff because I'm done.
Congratulations, though. I just keep going back to our first conversation. It feels like yesterday, but it also feels like time, right? Like, and we're on the other side of this.
Woo!
What is the biggest piece of advice that you would give folks? Like thinking back to when you were in that literature review class to where you are now, like what is the biggest thing that you felt like back then you like, of course I got this, but now on this side, you're like, no, I did not have that and I needed to accept that in order to move forward.
Oh my gosh. The biggest thing that keeps going back and forth, like there are two things. So there were two things. One, just turn it in, because regardless, at the end of the day, they're going to give you feedback no matter what it looks like. Just turn it in. The quicker you turn it in, I don't want to say the words faster, but the quicker you turn it in, the quicker you'll know where you stand in your study, if that makes sense. And then the second piece of just go ahead and prepare yourself to continue to rewrite 5 times, if need be, because that almost took me out. It really did.
Well, that's perfect. I feel like you read my slides, so that is a perfect segue. That couldn't have planned that better for you to open up this conversation with that.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to know as I go through this, what else you have to add.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Okay, this is the last day for realsy, because tomorrow is orientation. So if you've been on the fence about this literature review writing retreat, friend, get in, okay? Because tomorrow is orientation, okay? And then I believe that the next one will be the last week of December. And that definitely will be virtual because I just don't think folks will want to travel during that time. So it'll definitely be a virtual situation. But yes, get in. Okay, here are questions for today. And if you're watching live, put your answers in the comments too. And don't worry, y'all, nobody can see you. All right, when will you graduate? What is the month and the year that you're going to graduate? Not that I hope to, not that I'm planning on, no, you will. You are going to graduate this month and this year. The more that you put that down, the more your brain will work towards this goal. So when will you? Number 2, what is your one thing for October? If you haven't joined, if you wasn't with us on a 10 pages retreat or Monday's call, I need you right now to identify the one thing that you're going to complete by the end of October, before Halloween is over, before everybody start playing Mariah Carey. What is it that you gonna have done? What's the one thing you gonna have done? And then this question might take you a minute to answer, but what are 3 signs that will indicate that you are done with this dissertation? Let me tell you why I'm asking this question, because most people think, oh, I'm going to know that I'm done. I'm going to know that I reached the end. But I'm sure if I was to ask Erica in the middle of Bill being like, you should do this, you should do that, and you should do this, she probably would have told you, I'm not done. I'm done in my heart, but I'm clearly not done, when technically she was done. Bill was just like excited. He just wanted to put some final touches on it. So, how will you know? What are the things you're going to look for in yourself and others? What do you need to hear? What do you need to see to know that you are done? At this stage of life and in these types of goals that you all are going after, it's not as clear to know that you have reached the finish line. So, what is going to be your indicators? So, it's going to be your signs. Okay, so we got April 25, May 25, December 16th, 2024, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come on. December 13th, 2 p.m. Central Time. You're on Central, right? No, you're on Eastern.
Eastern, yeah.
Defend dissertation on October 24th. I love it. Yeah, but listen, that's important though, because the more the more details you can put behind a goal like this, like the time and what you're gonna wear and who's gonna be there, again, your brain will work overtime to make it happen. When Bill tells me. What else though? We need 3 though. And as I go through this, I just want you to jot down some notes, whether it's on a sticky note, you got a digital document, your phone notes. You're gonna want to come back to this, okay? I got an analogy, okay, y'all, because I've been thinking real hard about how do I make this clear. All right. If you don't know, like the way my neurospiciness is set up, I have to have a list of safe foods, meaning when texture grosses me out, when smells start to gross me out, what is the true and tried meals that I could go to? And 9.9 times out of 10, I'm going to eat it. 2 of those, one is a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and the other is a turkey sandwich. Okay. If nothing else, okay, I will eat one of those if everything else fails. Okay. So I want you to think about, you are preparing your lunch for tomorrow. Like, you're gonna go to work, you're trying to save you some money in this economy. Okay. You like, I'm gonna stop ordering the DoorDash and the Uber Eats. I'm gonna bring my lunch from home to work. Now, a good option, I'm gonna put you out. That's what I'm gonna do, because you being loud. You're gonna get put out. And now you're gonna have everybody taking up for you, but you do it again, put you out. Y'all know he's doing this on purpose. Okay, a dog that trolls you. And then I don't know if y'all can hear it, but I'm about to put him out. All right. So you're gonna save you some coins. A good option could be a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? You don't have to refrigerate it. You can make it real quickly, throw it in your bag, move forward. Now, it may not be the best lunch you ever had, but it's going to get the job done, right? It's going to get you to the end of your workday. It's going to be a lunch. You can add some chips and a water, a Gatorade or something, right? A better option could be that you add some deli meat, some cheese, maybe some fixings like some lettuce or whatnot from your house, from your refrigerator. Because at least if you're adding like deli meat and all these other things, you're adding a little bit more calories, more protein, right? It's going to keep you fuller longer. And I would argue that it's probably more satisfying because it has more elements. So let's just say that's the better option, right? But if you real fancy, because you romanticize everything and you got the time and you got the budget and you got the energy, you might make you a turkey deluxe sandwich, right? You may put some avocado on this. Now I got this picture from the Canva. So this looks like some tomatoes and whatnot, right? It's a fancy sandwich, and then cut it in half. You didn't put a toothpick through it because you got more time and resources. Let's just say that's the best option. All 3 of these options will solve your hunger problem. It is about how much time and energy and money you have available, probably if that this determines which option you're going to choose. Y'all following me with this analogy? Your writing is the same way, friend. In here, you hear me say, write a basic, boring dissertation. At the minimum, I want you to focus on getting to a good option before we start thinking about better and best. Because this gets degrees. This gets you to Dr. Land. You don't have to do this. You don't have to be on the Twitter, the X, or the Facebook and looking at everybody talking about all they like fancy dissertation. If you are someone who is constantly saying, I just want to get done, I just want this weight off of me, friend, we're going to get a peanut butter jelly sandwich and we're going to be okay with it. And if you got some time and some energy left over, then you can decide if you want to make it better or you want to make it the best option. But right now, at a minimum, the only goal here is to get to a good option. Your dissertation is an educational exercise. Just like your courses were an educational exercise, right? Like you didn't go to every class, man, like every single assignment, every single book, every single whatever they give me, I'm going to do it to the A plus effort. No, because life be life and you like, all I need is really like a A below key a B, and then I'm good. Even if you were aiming for an A, right? I want you to check in with yourself that when you first started courses, you probably was like, I mean, I got this. I just need to make sure I catch up with the reading. But you wasn't like, you trusted yourself to get a passing grade. You trusted yourself to get an A. The dissertation is the same thing. It's just a longer assignment. The goals of this assignment is, can you design a research project? Can you conduct research and get the data you need? And can you write a roughly 200-page report about what you did? That's it. Your job is to demonstrate that you can do these things, not that you are an expert at it. Because how you going to, I'm probably getting ahead of myself, but how you going to be an expert at something you ain't never done before? Right? I am. You are a student. If this, for most of you, if this is your first time from start to finish, designing research, conducting the research, analyzing it, writing it up, telling people what they should do next. If this is your first time, how is this supposed to be your best work? Let's just sit in logic land for a minute. I know I love Delulu land, but in logic land, how does it make sense that you are supposed to be an expert at conducting research and writing it up if you've never done it before? Wouldn't it make more sense that the dissertation, in terms of your scholar career, wouldn't it make sense that the dissertation is your worst thing that you produce? Because it's the first thing that you're producing? Because it's your first time. Let me just stop right there. Can I get like an emoji or a one-word reaction about that of like, when I say your dissertation should be the worst thing you produce, what does your brain say? What is your reaction to that?
It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. I know somebody fighting me in their brain. Okay. I know somebody is like, girl, what? That's not what they told me. Right? It can't be the worst thing. But look, I'm just asking you, right, Jenny? I'm just asking like logically. I'm not saying it's the worst thing you've ever written. I'm just saying it's probably the worst thing, like in terms of a manuscript or a complete project that you're going to do because it's your first time.
You know what, Dr. Lacey, it's funny that you're talking about this because me and another cohort member were just talking about this, I want to say, when we were like trying to figure out what chapter 4 and 5 should look like. And I said to him, I said, there is no course. You go through all of these courses, the literature review course, a qualitative course, but where is the course to teach you how to write 4 and 5? And he was like, you know what? You're absolutely correct. So because we were so worried about like feedback or what we're gonna get, I said, he was like, you know, we both thought about like what they're gonna say because it's your data. Like, how can they tell you your data's wrong? Because it's your study. Mm-hmm. And there is no like, there is models out there what it should look like, but there is no, this is what it's supposed to look like. Mm-hmm. Like I realized that, and it was about like, I think around about August or September when I realized he's right. Like we're like there is, what can they say? Like this is your first time. There is no model. You know, like yeah, so it just I don't know if anybody else is feeling that, but that's kind of that's where I landed. I was like, okay, just turn it in.
Yeah. And that's the hard part. Y'all, like, this is why we talk so much about emotions and the mental part, right? Because you are the expert. This is your first time fully being able to be the expert with no one telling you yes or no. Like everybody's like, I don't know, you got to tell us. And that is a mind trip because your brain is like, up to this point, everybody's been telling me what to read, what to write, how to write it, when it's good enough. And now you're like, oh, I'm just supposed to go. I don't have no practice. I don't have no practice. Thank you for that. So, with that, right, whether it's your final chapters, whether it's at the beginning, your goal is to start with a basic draft, like a good enough draft. Because if you can get to a basic draft, you will have time and energy left over to improve it, to edit it, to see if you can add a little razzle dazzle to it. Right. This is why Bill is like, we just gonna do this and you're gonna add this and you're gonna add that, right? Because he like, technically you could become like you could defend on this, but I want to add a little razzle dazzle because we got time. You got time. It's October, like it's the beginning of October. You got time. We could do some stuff. Right. So if you can wrap your brain around, this is why I'm always like shitty paragraphs, shitty drafts. Because I want you to have something to build on. So to remind you, right, this is our process. If you were doing this in 12 months, you would be taking each slice every month, which would get you to 12 months. That's if you want to do it in 12 months. For me, my hope is that when you get in here and you realize, right, let's take a step back. Most of you, the reason why you're trying to rush to get done is you think that when you get done with the dissertation, all of your stress will go away. All of your problems will be solved, or at least the heaviest problem. And I say this with all the love in my heart. There are more problems waiting for you on the other side of that. You are at a point in life where you're always going to be juggling some sort of big goal. I want you to learn how to be okay while you're doing big ass shit. I want you to learn how to like, I get to still live my life, enjoy myself, lay on my couch and scroll the TikTok as much as I want to, and do big shit like write a dissertation and become a doctor. Because once you get that you don't, it's not an either or, it's a both and, then you're not rushing to finish. And you know what happens when you're not rushing to finish? You actually finish faster. You rushing right now, you being like so tightly to, I gotta get done is what's holding you up. It's why it's taking so long. But the moment you let go and you surrender to the process, I know I'm being real woo right now, but it's real. The more you surrender to this process, the faster it will go. It won't feel like it in the moment. Why? Because you got to deal with your emotions. But it is going fast on the outside. So the rules that we have in here, the way this program is structured, my intentions here is to help you to increase your scholar capacity. Meaning how y'all love to say, I'm working smarter, not harder. And then I have to politely say, actually, you're working harder because if you were working smarter, you wouldn't be that stressed. You wouldn't. You wouldn't. This is helping you to work smarter, not harder. Me saying 10 hours a week is because if you can get good at using 10 hours a week to the fullest capacity, imagine what you would do with a whole weekend of a writing retreat. Right now, you keep trying to go to these writing retreats that ain't got no structure. It's just somebody who's hosting like a Airbnb or Zoom room. And it's like, we got dedicated space to write, but you spend most of the time going in circles trying to make a plan and color code your spreadsheet instead of actually getting work done. Whereas if you learned how to make the most of 10 hours, when somebody was like, oh yeah, we are going to write for this long stretch of time, you know how to organize yourself and keep yourself moving. I just want you to learn the skills. Clarity. Every Sunday, right, we meet to do a weekly plan. The goal is for you to leave Sunday evening. And I'm going to make sure I am talking about this more because I feel like this is getting lost. Your goal every Sunday is to identify 15 micro tasks that you can do throughout the week. When I am saying micro tasks, I'm saying what is something that you could do within 10 to 30 minutes and be done, like, and have something that a result that you produced. If you're doing that, if the max amount of time that each task take you is 30 minutes, we're talking 7.5 hours of work. You still got 2.5 hours to play around with. When I say maximize your 10 hours, that's what I'm saying. Most of you and me, I get into these moments too. You don't want to do the mental work required to make a plan that is that structured and organized because you think, oh, that's just a waste of time. What you don't realize is like you either do it on Sunday or you're going to do it every day of the week. And it's going to take you longer when you're trying to do it every day of the week and you got work and kids and partners and whatever coming at you. That is why we have 2 hours every Sunday night. So if you can't make no other call, if you don't watch nothing else, I implore you to go watch the Sunday call and make sure that you have a plan. And I am finalizing the actual planner so that you will have something tangible to use week to week. Okay. Energy. It doesn't matter if you actually have the time and you know what to do if you don't have the energy to do it, if you don't have the mental, emotional, or physical energy to do it. The reason why I want you to focus on a basic draft, a shitty draft first, is because I want you to learn how to build up your endurance. Most of you try to sprint your way through the dissertation, then you burn out 2 weeks later. When you focus on 10 hours a week, 15 tasks a week, let me make sure I do the scholar basics. You are learning how to build up your endurance so that when you get to month 10, 11, 12, you're not about to commit murder. Okay. I probably shouldn't say this on the socials because they're going to flag me. Right. But I just want you to realize that I am teaching you endurance. I'm not trying to slow you down for the sake of slowing you down. I'm trying to make sure that when you get to graduation, you can actually be present at graduation, that you can actually remember what the people said on the stage and who was there to visit you. Wait, are you okay, Janelle? Do we need to call the police? Because, all right, I got nervous.
There's just a bug in here that started flying, so I got my eyes on it.
Oh, okay, okay,
To me,
okay. All right. Oh, I would have ran out the room. So you so good. Would have been out the room. But yes, yeah, I want you to be able to enjoy fully your days. Like, talk to some of the people who have already graduated before you. Some of them, including me, I remember some parts of that day, but I don't remember all of that day. I was so out of my body, so dysregulated that I was like, please let this day be over with. Like, I couldn't enjoy it because I didn't have these tools. So, the scholar writing routine. Now, I've been working on this to try to present this in a way that y'all can follow me because I feel like y'all hear me, but y'all hear me. So I was like, listen, I went to the big homie ChatGPT and I said, we're going to make magic because I'm going to tell you what I mean by these 5 drafts and you're going to help me produce a document to help the people understand. And it said, bet. I don't know how you talk to your AI, but I talk to my AI like we family because we are. All right. So you hear me say all the time, 5 drafts. Go ahead and make peace with 5 drafts. You heard Erica earlier say, I didn't want it to be true, but those 5 drafts are true. You need to make peace with each chapter will take you 5 drafts to complete, and the entire proposal or the entire dissertation will take you 5 drafts. Now, I know that feels like, oh, I will never get done. No, the more that you embrace that this is the process, the faster you will allow yourself to go through the drafts. So, I want to explain to you what is included in each draft or like the goal of each draft. So, as an overview, draft 1 is the shitty draft, right? It is where you're going to put words on a page 50%. Draft 2 is the bare minimum draft. It's where you get to 70% completion. Draft 3 is for your chair. You are preparing this draft to turn into your chair at 80%. A lot of y'all be turning in this draft and then come back to me and tell me my process don't work when I told you there's a whole other 2 parts before you turn it into your chair. Right. Draft 4 is when y'all are going back and forth. Now they gave you feedback. You're going to respond to their feedback. And draft 5 is what Bill is doing right now. He adding a little razzle dazzle to it because he's preparing it for the committee. So let me open up my document that we worked on, and I'm gonna make it prettier later. But I was like, at least you have something, and let me give it to y'all. Oh no, I don't know what I just did, but stop. Okay. Computer. Okay, so that you have it. If you want to follow along with me, I am going to. Okay, so when I say like draft one is about 50%, it is where you pull up a document, you put your phone on do not disturb, and you write everything that you know for at least 25 minutes. Or if you go longer than 25 minutes until you run out of words to say. This is where we're not reading. We're not going to look up anything. We're not trying to make sure that I say that correctly. Your only job at draft one is to put words on a page. Because in order to figure out what it is that you want to say and how you want to say it, you got to write. You cannot do that up here. That is how you get overwhelmed. That is how you be ready to like pull out your hair. In order to get clear on what you want to say, you have to write. Yes, it will be scary. Yes, you will have uncertainty. That is part of the writing process, friend. Let's just go ahead and embrace it, okay? So that is draft one. Draft one is the sheety draft. Is everybody on the same page with me? This is why I tell you to just write. Okay. Once you have that, we're 50% of the way there. Do you notice that? You just simply putting words on a page gets you 50% there. Now, some of you are want to argue with me because you like, it's not 50%. I couldn't turn in it. But are you trying to aim for an F? No, this is 50%. I'm just trying to tell you it's a good starting point. It's your foundation. Okay, draft two then is the bare minimum draft. The bare minimum draft is where you have to practice believing that your 10% is everyone else's 90%. Because this is where those voices are about to be like, now she done got you out here writing this. It don't even make no sense. You can't turn this in. Ain't nobody gonna like this. Okay, so you got to tell that voice, be quiet for a minute, okay? My only job on this draft is to get paragraphs that make sense. This is going to be the part that feels the most tedious, that feels the most challenging. Why? Because I am still forcing you to do something without reading first, and your brain is going to want to read first. We're not there yet. This part is where you go through your shitty draft and you start removing things that were random. Because for me, it would be song lyrics or scandal quotes, because that's what I'm watching right now. Okay, it would be all throughout my free write. When I was writing this, it was random stuff throughout this because I followed the same process. Then you want to go through and make sure you start grouping things into paragraphs. Then you want to say, is anything missing from this paragraph, like any definitions, any examples, any other like transitional sentences missing from this? Your job is to get to a draft that's a 70% or better. I want you to stay at 70% though, because your brain is going to try to do something. 70%. Why? Because if all else fails, if you only do draft one and draft two, at least you'll get a C in your dissertation. At least you can show up with something. And the worst that your chair, your committee could say is, I'm going to need you to add some citations to it. Now, you could be like Tasha and roll up and be like, do you want these hands or not? Because I told you that this was a draft and process, and now you want to act all funny on these on this feedback and these comments, right? Which is why I'm like, if you can hold off to draft number 3 before you send it, because sometimes faculty don't understand. They have an idea what they think it should look like in their brain, even though they say just send me whatever you got. They don't mean that. I've been following this. I swear this will be my last like random thing. Following this guy on like TikTok, and he's like being the autistic translator. And he's like, they don't mean what they're saying. This is what they're really saying. And those videos are tickling me because I'm like, yes, I'm being that for you right now. When your chair says, oh, just send me whatever. Yeah, I just want to see it. Unless they explicitly say, I want the shitty draft. I don't care what shape it's in. You don't believe them then. You wait until draft 3 to send them something. All right, because then your feelings going to be hurt or you're going to be pissed and you'll be like, Tasha, okay, again, because she was listening. Friend almost came up missing. A little scared for her chair. Okay, that's draft 2. Draft 3. This is where we now prepare to write for your chair. Because up to this point, you have gotten clear on what it is that you want to say. You've gotten clear how you think about the topic. You got clear on why you're doing this. Now we're going to compare how you're thinking about it to what the literature has to say about it. And why you want to do it in this order is because now you know exactly what it is that you need to go look for. You know exactly what you need to be reading. You know exactly the citations you need. If you can't find it, at least you know how to explicitly go to the reference librarian who's the homie and you say, hey, help me find an article for this. And they do it real easily. They like, here you go. Or you can use the AI. But I like talking to people, especially when I'm trying to find something in particular, because I've been to like strangle AI that's not real. But there are people, tell them, Chris, it's people in the library who love to look up citations. It blows my mind, but they love it. And if you could make friends with them, they will give you everything. They will start emailing you saying, I was just bored and I found this for you. The person at the School of Education, I don't know if she's still there. Her name was Carla. Okay, I made it a point that every Wednesday when I had class, I went downstairs. I said, hey, Carla, girl, what you doing? Because you know what Carla would do? She would order books. If I was like, do you have this book? She's like, no. And then I would come back next week and she'd be like, actually, I bought it because we had money in the budget. Make friends with them, okay? Because they are your people through this process. Go find them. But this is why you don't want to start with reading. Why? Because you don't know what you're looking for. If you're starting with reading, you're just downloading articles and books just for the sake of downloading articles and books. You have no idea if you're going to be able to use that or not because you don't know what it is that you're saying. You don't know what you're justifying yet. When you start with your ideas, which requires you to trust yourself, you have a better idea. The draft 3 is all about adding in citations and formatting this draft because you want it to look like what your chair is expecting it to look like. Presentation matters. It does. Like, what did I say? Don't listen to them. Presentation matters. So this is the draft where you focus on, can I get this looking as good as possible? Remember, your goal is 80%. We're not trying to get to 100 yet. We cannot get to 100 until you get your chair's input anyway. This is not the time to go send it to everybody else. This is not the time to go talk to all your committee members. Why? Because you're going to piss off your chair. Your chair does not want you talking to everybody else because they have a job to protect you. There's a lot of politics involved. And when you think you over there working smarter and not harder and you going to talk to committee members, now your chair is pissed and they don't want to help you. Okay, friend, do this. Turn it in. You're going to feel like it's not ready. You're going to feel like, but I could still do so much. There's a little part here. Maybe I should just send it to my friend. Send it to your chair. As you're sending it to your chair, okay, I don't know if you spiritual, religious, go to whoever you pray to. Okay, whatever meditation you need to do, whatever therapy appointment you need, if you need to come up in here and we need to coach, I need you to, as much as possible, prepare your nervous system for the feedback. There will be extensive feedback. Let me say it in the mic. There will be extensive feedback. That is what we want. You want to open up that document and be like, let me close that right back because that was a lot of track changes. That is what you want. Why? Because when you see 11 billion track changes and you see all the comments on the side, you know what that means? It means that your chair took the time and the energy to read through your draft. It means that they are invested in your project. It also means that you help them to help you. And when think about it like at work, when you have, if you have ever had the pleasure of supervising folks, you know that employee who's always thinking 2 steps ahead and it's like, oh, I know we're going to have that team meeting. So I went ahead and drafted up an agenda for you. So all you got to do is add things. You know how appreciative you are? Or when that person is like, oh, so-and-so called you, but I took care of it. I'm just letting you know. Do you know how good that feels? That's the same thing you're doing for your chair when you took the time and the energy to do 3 drafts before you sent it to them. You made it easy for them to show up for you because they don't have to sift through typos and like random run-on sentences and you started this section, but then you started over. They don't have to do that. You made it pleasurable and easy for them to read this. And when an academic gets excited about a document, you know what they do? Oh, we should do this, but you should do this. Have you ever read this? Did you consider this? And so the reason why I want you to prepare your nervous system is because if you're not careful, you may think that they're telling you you did it wrong. Because when you are in courses, right, whenever you had a lot of feedback or comments, it was an indicator that you didn't meet expectations on the assignment. But this is different. This is manuscripts and dissertations. You want that feedback because the feedback is like those lights that the plane uses to know where to land. The feedback tells you exactly what to work on to get to your defense. If you truly want to finish fast, you focus on what they pointed out in the feedback because that's what they care most about. It is not about tearing down your work. They are trying to challenge you to look at it from different perspectives, or they're just being like, their job is to play devil's advocate in a way and to help you make sure that you are clear on why it is that you're saying what you're saying. Everything is made up, including research. So 2, 3, 10 people can have the same topic and 10 people can have wildly different like dissertations. Like y'all can have the same topic, the same data, and interpret it completely different. You can look at the same literature and have 10 different literature reviews. Why? Because it is about your perspective and your context. And when you give it to your chair, your committee for feedback, they also are going to have a different way that their relationship is to the work, which is why you don't want to send it to your committee members because your chair may have a whole different set of expectations than your committee members. So they're going to send you some feedback and you're going to go through the feedback in a triage fashion. We are going to talk about this in 2 weeks. Starting October 14th, we're going to do a deep dive in how do you ask for feedback, once you get the feedback, what are your next steps are when you want to freeze, how do you sort out which feedback to respond to and which ones to just leave right there and how to manage that. Okay, but we'll do that in 2 weeks. Draft 5 is where you and your chair are going to work closely together to prepare your draft for the committee. This is when the committee comes in because now you've had 4 drafts. It is good. It is clear. You can defend it. But now this is where the pieces come in of the politics. Your chair is going to be thinking not only what your committee might say, what might be their personal things that they love to focus on. But if you like Bill, Erica's chair, you also are thinking about publication. And so that's when the razzle dazzle for real goes on. And this is the part where you're going to want to fight the most. Okay, y'all heard her earlier. When you get to draft 5, because it happens almost every single time that when you get to draft 5, your chair's going to be like, yeah, I want you to change this entire section. And it's going to be something that you did in draft 1 or draft 2. And now you're about to fight. Now you're about to throw hands because you're like, didn't I write that already? And they're like, yeah, but I didn't. Now we're on this side of things and I have a different perspective and it makes sense to go back. When that happens, we're not going to fight. We're prepared for it. We prepared our nervous system for it. So we're not going to fight the chair because they're just trying to help you have the best defense possible. And this is where you need your endurance the most. Because by the time you write something 5 times, friend, you like, I'm over it. Okay. I'm over it. I'm done. I don't know if you're done. And you need the endurance to be like, okay, just a little while longer. Okay. If you could just do these changes, we can get there, friend. Okay. So remember our cycle, right? X-axis is experience or time. Y-axis is confidence. When you start, before you even start writing, this is where y'all, like a lot of you are, especially if you're joining me for the writing review tree, you're like, oh, I'm so excited. And then you worked on an outline, right? Chris tried to tell me for 2 months. He was working on an outline. I'm like, why are we doing that? But right, you feel the most confident here. You're like, I know how to write an outline. I'm like, go ahead and write the draft. That's when the confidence starts to dip because now when you get into action is when all the emotions come up. But you like, okay, girl, I did your little shitty draft, whatever. You feel pretty good. And then I'm like, okay, time to structure the paragraphs. This is when you're like, now I'm over it already. I want to do this. It's tedious. It's boring. I don't know. I just need to read. And I'm like, keep going. And as you get into draft 3 and 4 and 5, and you're going back and forth with your chair, you are in the pit of misery. Why? Because you like, I want to be done. I didn't wrote this multiple times. I'm tired. And this is where people quit. When you're
talking about me,
I'm talking about everybody.
Oh my God. Oh my God. This is so, it's almost, I feel like I was being hazed. That's what I felt like. That is the best description that I could this process.
Mm-hmm.
This, like I felt like I was being hazed because I felt like my good enough, my best enough wasn't good enough. And I just, yeah, I was about ready to be done. I was like, you know what, do I really need this? No. That's all part of me, like I kept battling back and forth, but I kept going.
You just keep
And I'm
hitting,
trying
you just keep hitting the wall, hitting the wall. You know how you get through this wall? You have to either get so beat up that you're exhausted and you have no choice but to crawl up, or you fully surrender to the process and you're like, okay, it's just going to be hard. What did I say the other day? The long way is the fast way. When you embrace that the long way is the fast way, you'll just be like, okay, I'm just going to keep putting one foot in front of the other. And eventually you'll start to come out of this pit. But no one can avoid the pit, y'all. Like, no, everybody has to go through this. It's just other people go through it faster than others because about it's what you make it mean to be in the pit. It's what you make it mean to have to write multiple drafts and to go back and forth with your chair. Okay, Nayeli.
Yeah, I was wondering if you or maybe anybody else on the call might be able to guide me on the subsequent draft process. So my chair is requesting that I send my draft to her and the committee for them to all be reviewed at once.
Mm-hmm.
And my school, we have a writing center. Well, they'll do some copying editing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked, well, would it be best to first go to the writing center, get feedback on just grammatical errors, and then send it to the whole committee? And she said, no, we want to see your just draft, save the writing center for our feedback. And so, with your experience, what would you recommend? Because this is kind of the opposite of what she's saying, and I want to prepare myself mentally.
No, I see it as the same. It just looks like she wants a more collegial process, because she doesn't want any surprises. It's just that most chairs, I'm gonna just say it plain, their egos won't allow them to do a more collaborative process. So it sounds like your chair is like, no, this is we do everything in community. I would
Yeah.
still wait, like if possible, get to draft 3 and then send it to everyone so that you at least have had 3 times where you have touched it and you've went through it and you've made sure that you are saying what you want to say and how you want to say it.
Okay, so then still reserve the writing center for after the committee feedback.
Yes, because the writing center, at least in my experience, in your institution may be different, but the writing center is usually geared towards undergraduate students where they're maybe like reviewing 1 to 5 pages. And
Oh no,
so,
this is for graduate doctoral writing center.
yeah, but even still, I have found in my experience that they don't spend as much time as you will need for them to if you give them an earlier draft versus if you give them. Right. If you're giving your committee and your chair like a clean draft, like if you're at draft number 3 and you're giving that to them, the feedback that they give you and then you address their feedback, now you're giving an almost completed 100% completed draft to the writing center, which then it would make it easier to find the minor grammatical errors and the places where you could be a little bit more clear. But if they have to do extensive feedback, they're not going to get through your entire document.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And so you will do this until you start to like walk up here. And this is where Erica is. Now her and Bill are negotiating. We could do this back and forth, right? Because there's a lot that you could keep changing, you can go through, you could add, but now you're gonna start negotiating. Okay, what do we need or how done does this need to be in order to defend it? Okay, because we're done. We're done for now. And he said, you just add these sections, these tables. I already add the table. I got you started, girl. And then you could just send it to your committee and then you're going to defend. By the time you get here, listen to me. By the time you get to your defense, you are over it. You no longer care about being a doctor. That is how you know you're ready to become doctor. I wish I could say that differently, but I promise you, when you let go of like, you know what? I don't need this degree because I got a job. I got air in my lungs. Okay. I got a master's degree, an undergrad degree. I don't need it. When you get there and you're still moving, that is how you know you're ready. And you're going to defend it and you're going to cry or whatever and celebrate. You would be surprised that after your defense, most people start adding more stuff to the dissertation. You thought you were tired of writing, but you're gonna have a renewed spirit of like, oh, this came up and that came up during the defense, and I want to add this and I want to change this. This is probably where you'll hire an editor if you didn't do it before, because you are preparing to publish it to ProQuest or wherever your system is. And then you're going to publish it, and you're going to see, even after you publish it, you're going to see, I still want to change it. So as you go to apply to like Dissertation of the Year awards, you're still going to have time and opportunity to make changes so that you can present your best work. I am communicating that to you because you can get stuck here thinking, oh, this needs to be perfect, like it needs to be for publish, and you don't realize there's a whole nother part of the process, friend. Okay. If you want more information about the steps of the scholar writing routine, go watch the August 8th video, and I'm gonna show you how to get there, because I'm about to go in back in the circle to make this more streamlined, because I don't understand what's happening with the calls, y'all. But I'm gonna show you how to get there. If my computer will let me, be great. So August 8th, scholar writing routine. But while I go do that, let me know how you're feeling about this conversation. How we feeling after this at the end? Give me an emoji or a reaction.
I feel okay about the conversation. I think I was in the fit, even though I know I still have more to go, but it felt good to know that I submitted, all of that to them. It was not exciting writing it. There was so many different emotions, especially when I think about like last weekend. It was like me and the soul jazz when it was some section on Pandora that plays jazz. They don't sing because that'll be distracting, and then I'll be just singing and not writing. But it was me and that just to type it to 12. And then I also felt like my brain was slow. Because like on that day, I was like, why are we adding more information when we did a prelim, friend?
That's so
we have summaries right here because one of the questions they were asking me about the race part, and I was like, what am I gonna get? And I'm like, duh, that was your qualifying exam. Because the gender part was not a part of my field exam. And so I was dealing with imposter syndrome and how do I write this about queer histories, because I know in lived experiences, I know some stuff, but scholastically, I don't know how to answer this. But all that to say, it felt good to send it. And I know I'm awaiting on their comments because the meeting is October 22nd. But I was like, look, I'm just trying to defend this proposal by December. I don't care if y'all are getting ready to go home and that's when I'm on the Zoom screen. I don't care if it's just the three of us. But that's just where I'm at. I don't care.
But that's how you know it's good. Like when you stop caring, you like, listen, I'm making it. It doesn't feel like you're making it, but when you let go, y'all, you're like, it just like pops up. And that's when you really get an attitude. At least I do, because I'm like, I'd be damned. Okay. I'm over it. And you've been working closely with your committee, so there shouldn't be any surprises, right? Like you should be really prepared in the parts where you're like the scholastic pieces. At least you know now where to like read and brush. Like you can do that if you wanted to, if you had energy to start reading on those things in preparation for the conversation on the 22nd. But you don't have to, but at least you're mentally prepared for them to say that. And so it's not going to throw you off when you're there. Like, oh yeah, I knew that. Okay, I got you. Because that's not going to stop them from passing you. They're going to be like, by the time you get to the final one, make sure you cover these pieces. So y'all, if you go to, so I'm in Circle, Finish Your Dissertation, weekly call schedule. You go here, you change this to past. And hopefully this doesn't freeze my computer because I'm doing a lot of sharing. And you're going to scroll down to August 8th. We're going to make it. We have a lot of calls, y'all. Because this was when we first started using Circle and we were putting the calls here. So we just got to put them over here on weekly call recordings. Wait, am I not there yet? Okay, so if you go to introducing the scholar writing routine, you click that, and then you're going to see the video here. And it is where I went through the entire like checklist of how you write each of those drafts. And I also think I did an example. I want to say if that was Tasha's example or somebody, I can't remember if that was the same day, but I know I was looking at somebody's draft and showing you how you would start to edit it and whatnot. So if you want more information, that's where it is. And like I said, this month we are going to definitely talk more about feedback and preparing drafts for your chair, and preparing yourself for the defense. We're also going to be talking about what happens when there's conflict on your committee. How do you manage that? And overall, how do you just manage the people? This is going to require you, though, to see yourself as the leader of this group. Yes, they may have completed their doctoral programs, but this is your research project and they are expecting you to show up and facilitate the conversation. They're going to help you when you run into a place where you don't have the experience or the knowledge. But for the most part, they are dependent on you to be the project manager and to steer the ship forward. They're going to take their cue from you. So that's why we're going to be talking a lot about that this month. Okay. Any final questions before I get cut off for the writing session?
Did you have slides up for defending or prepping your defense presentation?
Yes, it's in Kajabi, and I can go find that for you. You want me to put that in Circle?
Circle. I can check my favorite, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll tag you in Circle and put that in.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Anybody else?
I don't know if I'm in Circle, but I would like those slides.
Okay, I'll tag both of you. I'll go do it. I'm gonna do it right after this.
Okay.
All right, y'all. Make sure you use Ask a Coach if you have any questions or anything. I have Friday mornings blocked for all things Circle. Will do, Siobhan. If you need anything, otherwise, I will see y'all, I think on Monday, because I won't be doing Sunday's call, but Sunday's call is next. Okay, y'all. Good night, y'all. Thank y'all for being on the YouTubes. If you want to join us, you can come to qualscholars.com and learn more about the Finish Your Dissertation Institute. We do these calls weekly, Sunday, Monday, and Thursday. Sunday is all about planning out your week. Monday is about how you're managing the overall like project management piece of the dissertation. And Thursdays, as you have just witnessed, is all about writing the dissertation. So if you go to qualscholars.com, you should be able to see the links and learn more and sign up. Thank y'all for your time and attention, and I will see y'all next time. Bye, y'all.